They say desperation makes you do foolish things. I never believed that, until the day I walked into Dante Moretti's mansion with a mop and bucket, thinking I was just there to clean. I had no idea I was stepping into a world where one wrong move could cost me my life. And I definitely had no idea that the most dangerous man in the city would soon refuse to let me leave. My name is Elena Torres, and this is the story of how I became his everything. 6 months ago, my life was normal. I was a waitress, living paycheck to paycheck, but I was happy. Then my mother got sick, stage 4 cancer. The medical bills piled up faster than I could count, and suddenly, normal wasn't an option anymore. I needed money, fast, real money. That's when I saw the job posting. Housekeeper needed, large private estate, excellent pay, discretion required. No questions asked. No questions asked. That should have been my first red flag. But when you're drowning, you don't examine the rope someone throws you. You just grab it. The interview was brief. A woman named Rosa, probably in her 60s, with kind eyes and a tired smile, met me at a coffee shop downtown. "You ever work in a big house before, honey?" Rosa asked. And then I answered, "I've cleaned hotel rooms, restaurants, offices. I'm thorough and I don't gossip." She studied me for a long moment. "The house belongs to a very private man, very powerful. You'll see things, hear things. You keep them to yourself. Understand?" I nodded, even though warning bells were ringing in my head. "You start Monday, 6 a.m. sharp. The address is in this envelope. Don't be late. And Elena," she grabbed my wrist gently, "whatever you see, you didn't see it. Got it?" I took the envelope. Inside was an address in the hills, the wealthiest part of the city, and a check for $2,000, my first week's pay, in advance. I should have walked away, but $2,000 was more than I made in a month at the diner, and my mother needed her medication. So on Monday morning at 5:45 a.m., I stood in front of the largest mansion I'd ever seen in my life. The Moretti estate sat behind iron gates like something out of a movie. White stone, massive columns, windows that seemed to watch you. The gate opened automatically as I approached, like the house itself was swallowing me whole. Rosa met me at the servants' entrance. "Good, you're punctual. Come, I'll show you your duties." The inside was even more intimidating than the outside. Marble floors so polished I could see my reflection. Crystal chandeliers that probably cost more than my apartment building. Art on the walls that looked important. "East wing is yours. Bedrooms, bathrooms, sitting rooms. You clean, you organize, you make everything perfect. The west wing is Mr. Moretti's private quarters and office. You do not go there unless specifically asked. Are we clear?" I answered, "Crystal clear." Mr. Moretti values his privacy above all else. You might see him, you might not. If you do see him, you greet him respectfully, answer if spoken to. Otherwise, you're invisible. Understand? I nodded again. Invisible. I could do invisible. I'd been invisible my whole life. "One more thing," she added. "If you ever hear anything unusual late at night, raised voices, things breaking, you stay in your room, you hear nothing, you see nothing. Capiche?" The way she said it made my skin prickle, but I pushed the feeling down. I answered that I understand everything. She smiled then, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "You're a good girl, Elena. Keep being a good girl, and you'll be just fine here." For the first 3 hours, everything was normal. I dusted, vacuumed, changed linens. The house was so big, I barely covered half the east wing. I didn't see anyone except Rosa, who checked on me once and seemed satisfied with my work. And then around 9:30, I heard voices, loud voices, coming from the west wing. I froze, remembering Rosa's warning, "Stay away, hear nothing." But then I heard something else, a sound that made my blood run cold. A gunshot.
Don't forget to subscribe to Sweet Secret Stories. Comment, like, and share this video. What do you think I should do after hearing the gunshot? I dropped the duster I was holding. My hands were shaking. This was crazy. I needed to leave, right now. But before I could move, I heard footsteps. Heavy, fast, coming toward the east wing. Every instinct in my body screamed at me to run. But where? The front door was too far. The servants' entrance was past where those footsteps were coming from. I was trapped, like a mouse in a maze with no exit. I panicked and ducked into the nearest room, a linen closet, pressing myself against the shelves of towels. Through the crack in the door, I watched. The scent of lavender detergent filled my nostrils, but it couldn't mask the metallic smell that suddenly permeated the air. The smell of blood. Fresh blood. 2 men walked past, dragging something between them. No, not something. Someone. A body. The man's head lolled to the side, his eyes open but vacant, lifeless. And there was blood. So much blood. It left a trail across the pristine marble floor I'd just cleaned, a crimson path that seemed to glow against the white stone. His expensive suit was torn. His face, what I could see of it, was bruised and battered. One of his shoes was missing. These details burned themselves into my memory like photographs I'd never be able to forget. I clamped my hand over my mouth to keep from screaming, pressing so hard I could taste blood from my own lip. Voice 1. Boss said to take him to the incinerator. Another rat thinking he could steal from the family. When will they learn? They never do. That's why business is always booming. They laughed, actually laughed, like they were discussing the weather or a football game, not dragging a dead man to be burned alive. Or dead. I didn't even know which was worse. They disappeared around the corner, and I stayed frozen in that closet for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might explode. I could feel my pulse in my throat, in my temples, in my fingertips pressed against the rough texture of the towels. Incinerator. Family. Boss. Oh God, what kind of house was this? What had I gotten myself into? This wasn't just some rich man's mansion. This was the headquarters of something dark, something deadly. Rosa's warnings made perfect sense now. The high pay, the secrecy, the emphasis on discretion. I'd walk straight into a crime family's home. The mob, the mafia, whatever you wanted to call it. I was standing in the middle of it. I knew I should run, get out now while I still could, but my legs wouldn't move. And a terrible thought occurred to me. If I ran, would they let me? Would they let someone who just witnessed that just walk out the door? Would they believe I'd keep quiet? Or would I end up like the man they just dragged past me, leaving my own trail of blood across this beautiful floor? Rosa's words echoed in my head. No questions asked. Discretion required. You see nothing. She'd been trying to protect me, trying to prepare me for exactly this moment, and I'd been too naive to understand. I finally managed to move, slipping out of the closet on shaking legs. My whole body felt like it was vibrating with fear, adrenaline, and something else I couldn't quite name. Survival instinct, maybe. I needed to clean up that blood before anyone saw it, before anyone knew I'd seen. If I could just pretend everything was normal, maybe I could survive this. Maybe I could convince them I was exactly what Rosa had promised, a good girl who minded her own business. I grabbed my cleaning supplies with trembling hands and got to work. The blood was still warm. That detail made my stomach turn, but I forced myself to focus. Spray, wipe, spray again. Don't think about whose blood this is. Don't think about how he died. Don't think. Just clean. I was on my hands and knees, scrubbing the blood from the marble with shaking hands, my tears mixing with the cleaning solution, when I heard a voice behind me. "You're the new girl." It wasn't a question. His voice was deep, calm, almost bored, but there was an edge to it that made every hair on my body stand up. I turned slowly, still on my knees, and looked up. Dante Moretti. He was younger than I expected, maybe early 30s, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing an expensive black suit with the tie loosened, dark hair, perfectly styled despite whatever just happened. But it was his eyes that trapped me, dark, intense, and utterly emotionless as he stared down at me. And there was blood on his hands, fresh blood.
I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. He looked from me to the blood I was cleaning, then back to my face. "Rosa hired you." "Yes, sir. I'm Elena Torres. I'm just cleaning." He walked closer, his expensive shoes making soft sounds on the marble. He crouched down in front of me, so close I could smell his cologne. Expensive. Dangerous. "Did you see something?" Elena Torres. This was it. The moment that would determine if I walked out of this mansion alive or ended up like the man they'd just dragged past me. I met his eyes. They were black in the dim hallway light. Predatory.
What do you think I should say? How do you think I should react? Let me know in the comments section. Watch out for my response in episode 2, the next episode. Meanwhile, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.